Terry Francona talked about building on last year's success with that young core, as well as a new thing, the pitch clock, and just how he wants his young pitchers to deal with it.
Last year is, from the very beginning, we kind of said, hey, okay, the elephant in the room is we're really young. You know, are we going to let it be an excuse to not win? And ultimately, what matters is what they think in the room. You know, what the opinions outside the room. I don't want to say we don't respect it, but it doesn't really help or hurt us. Or if it does, shame on us. What really matters is how we feel. And that, to me, that's going to be the same exact thing as last year. The thing that made it exciting, I think, is the way they played the game. You know, sometimes, you know, I've seen teams where you can be too young, and it's like, you know, at the end of the year, you hear somebody saying, well, we were just too young. We didn't do much babysitting, and we appreciated that. And now, because of that, these young guys have earned a lot of trust. Now we got to take it to another level. You know, one thing we tell our guys is, as you gain experience in the game slows down for you. But the way we play it can't slow down. And sometimes that's kind of a balancing act. So we'll talk about it. I think trying to not let the pitch clock get in the way of how you want to play the game. You know, we've already tried to talk to our guys about, like, the first couple weeks. What we want them to do is, because we think we got, like, our pitchers, we think they're pretty good. We don't want them to be panicking about, I got to throw this ball now. So we're going to let them work into it. And then if they have trouble holding runners, then we'll start to talk to them and we'll get more involved. But we'd like to first let them get their feet on the ground and feel like, okay, I got this part out of the way. I don't have to worry about this clock.
And with that, let's welcome in Zack Meisel. He is the Guardians beat reporter for The Athletic. Zack, appreciate you joining us. As always, Terry Francona, it's very well thought out, and the pitch clock in particular with some of the young pitchers, something I didn't really think about, but I love the approach.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it's such an adjustment for everybody watching the game, and there's all these new rules, and it feels like there's a lot to remember, and you're trying to keep track of, okay, how many seconds does the pitcher get in this situation, and when does the hitter need to be alert in the batter's box? I think the thing we forget is a lot of these young players on the Guardians have been through at least some of these new rules coming up through the minor leagues, and their standpoint is, let's just see how this works in spring training and then make adjustments off of that. So we're all frantic trying to figure out, how's this going to work and how's this going to work? And the players themselves are pretty calm about it. They don't seem too concerned.
The other thing that was really interesting, and every time Francona has mentioned the success of a season ago, he always, now we have to build on it. And I would imagine that's going to be a recurring message to this team.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, I think the main thing is winning 92 games last season and doing it in the fashion they did with that much youth on the roster. An incredible accomplishment, but it has no bearing on 2023. So individually and as a team, what you did last season doesn't really matter unless you find a way to build on it. So it's interesting because this has been one of the calmer camps with just very few storylines. And it's because they did so much last season. They answered so many questions. There's not as much to sort out this year. But lost in that is the fact that this is still such a young team. And you look around the clubhouse and it's full of 22, 23, 24-year-olds who, it's not like they're accomplished veterans and there's absolutely nothing to prove. There's a ton to prove. So in a sense, it's like there's nothing really going on. There's not a lot to figure out, but there's so much still to learn about what everybody, how they can perform on the field.